Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Anime Yay or Nay. We took a break from our usual thing of watching 3 or 4 episodes of a series to instead watch a movie since we were at a convention this weekend. Who's on the thing today? I'm the Outback Al.
I'm Hot for Justice.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm Chibi Noob.
I'm NV Jitters.
I'm Ember.
And we saw The Night is Short, Walk On Girl.
Yes.
So who has some initial thoughts on this? Because this was quite a thing that we saw.
It was definitely a thing.
I was really looking forward to seeing it because I saw the trailer and the art looked fantastic. And I think throughout it really was. Like, the art was pretty creative and very artistic. Like, I like the color palette and all that. I just have some issues with the plot. But
The plot.
what plot there was.
The plot.
I enjoyed the plot for what it was, I
Yeah.
think. It's not like one of those movies where it's going to be like very deep and like you're very heavy into a lot of... Well, I mean, it gets heavy doing a couple of things, but it's not like an insanely in-depth mystery or something.
I thought it was like the overall plot, like the overall arcane plot.
Yeah, we might as well
it
just
made
go into it and
sense.
say what it's about.
But like the individual segments, there were like 4 different segments. One that was all about having a fun night out drinking. Another one that was like basically you were out at like a late night open air market.
Yeah.
The third one was about a like school festival sort of thing where there were just a bunch of musicals going on. And then the fourth note was where our lead lady, she was
Going through the aftermath of it all.
Going through the aftermath of a crazy night of debauchery, and then
I don't know if it was debauchery.
There's just a lot of crazy
The
stuff
first
going
part
on,
was
okay?
definitely debauchery.
Okay, it was a little... it
See?
was a little bit indulgent.
And then it's basically about her going to the guy who has basically been trying to like win her over throughout the entirety of the movie.
Okay.
It's a good summary.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
as best as I can
It kind
do.
of starts out at a wedding. We follow this one girl. She goes out drinking, you guys said, all that stuff. And it's really like I think you were saying earlier about a series of vignettes, sort of.
That was what
Who was saying that?
Yeah, I think it was basically vignettes. It all felt kind of connected by the characters, and there was some, oh wow, that character has a crush on that character that we saw before and stuff like that. So I felt like there was this kind of theme of connectivity through it.
Yeah, that was kind of permeating
yeah.
throughout the whole movie, and they kind of
Especially with
do it
the
at the end.
whole ending part.
Yeah, they
with
kind of
Yeah.
hit you on the head with it at the end.
A little bit.
Everyone was
Yeah.
getting
A little
sick
much.
Yeah,
from
by the
each
end,
other.
everyone got
Yeah.
sick from a cold that one person has that spread to another person, to another person, to another person. I actually thought the better metaphor for it was the book thing, because I actually...
Yeah.
It was... They kind of played...
Yeah.
Well, they're, like, right in the middle, there's the book market scene, and they kind of play, like, 7 Degrees to Kevin Bacon, but with authors. And it's really interesting. It's like, oh, yeah, you don't always think about that. You just, like, look at a bookstore, and you're like, okay, these are each individual things, but they're all really connected to one another because of whether an author was inspired by another author or said something to someone else, and they read this book, which caused them to write this book, and you can, like, go into a whole thing about it. And to be fair, I was like, you could literally do this with movies. You could do this with any form of, like, thing out there.
Yeah.
Any form of media.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
And that's really makes you think a little bit, but at the same time I feel like you're having a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
I was giggling at a couple parts.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it was jarring for me a little bit at the beginning because it was just like one of those.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it starts out relatively normal for the most part, a little
Yeah.
stylized, but then it
Yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of
it's
goes
very
into some
stylized.
very surrealist territory, I think.
Yeah, I think the like magical realism feel to it
Yes.
was what I really liked about it, and like there were other parts I didn't like so much, but I thought that was its strongest part was the style.
Yeah, it kind of like I was trying to think of like specifics of like what I'd seen like elsewhere, and it kind of gives me I got like different vibes of different stuff at different moments because it's kind of a mishmash of a whole lot of different styles in that, which sometimes worked, sometimes maybe didn't for you, I guess.
Yeah. I think it just didn't mesh very well. I think they tried to force it to mesh really well at the end, and it just didn't for me. and I'm not sure why that is. I think it felt very unfocused.
I felt like because they kind of climaxed with their third part of the story.
Maybe that's why.
I felt like the movie was going to end like so many times.
I kind of felt like because
it's all just a bunch of different chapters that's all going on in this one night, and it's like it's all taking place within less than 12 hours.
Yeah,
however, it just feels so disjointed because you're going from one scene to the next, and the only thing that's really linking it all together is our leading lady and
leading man and
the leading dude.
Almost everyone else, because at some point everyone else does come back into everyone else's story.
Like, what was his name? Nihaku or
Rohaku?
Rihaku?
Which guy are you talking about?
The guy with the mustache.
Yeah, the old man.
Oh, old dude. Yeah, he was like a drunken mad. Yeah, he had a triple-decker train that could just go anywhere in town, and we're really going into magical realism thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about it. Is it kind of felt like it was like this could be a normal place to walk around during the day, but then like if you look in the right spot, you will find something interesting. And it kind of felt a little bit on the like lines of like Durarara or Bakano or something
actually,
like that.
It reminded me quite a lot of there's this author who is a very popular contemporary author in Japan. His name is Haruki Murakami.
Oh, I love that.
It actually reminded me a lot of his novel The After Dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is basically about a girl, and she goes on sort of kind of like an adventure, but it's a little more somber, the adventure that she goes on, and it all takes place from midnight until 6 a.m.
Okay.
Basically, her sort of getting like a feel for what the nightlife is like.
That's kind of what was happening here
Japan.
a little bit too.
Yeah.
Because like the first thing was all about like she was drinking at someone's like a wedding reception, I think,
and it turned into a night of drinking.
Yeah, because she was like, "Oh, I really like drinking. I want to do the adult things. Let's just go around drinking everywhere and partying and whatnot." And
drink.
Oh yeah, I don't know how she must have a hollow leg or something.
You would have to see the movie to understand this, but she literally drinks like over like 30 bottles.
Yeah, what did she say? Like, I will drink anything in front of me.
Yeah.
And she does.
Yeah.
And she doesn't get drunk.
No,
at all.
no point does she get. Then she outdrinks the drinking person whose whole thing is like, challenge me to a drinking thing and blah, blah,
and
blah.
she has like flowers coming out of her when
she enjoys drinking that much.
Yeah, it's a happy moment for her.
Yeah.
But like before we were recording, I know Chibi, you were saying that like it almost felt like 4 episodes of a show.
Yeah, like I felt that. Not that it didn't work okay as a movie, but I felt like it could have worked more as a mini-series, only because it was so disjointed.
I get that. And we were saying earlier about like how it kind of felt like it was like in a lot of places that it was going to end. And I was kind of thinking that because like early on they start talking about like, oh, there's this very rare liquor that is only like made in secret and it's a limited amount and blah blah blah, and they do all this stuff. I'm like, okay, so this is gonna be the thing that we're chasing after the whole movie. It's the MacGuffin or the White Rabbit or whatever we're chasing after. But 10-15 minutes later, we found the guy who has it. We have the drink. We get into a drinking contest. I'm like, this is the climax. This is what you have at the climax of the movie. Is this thing gonna be over in 2 minutes?
MacGuffin in a way.
It did. It kind of had each one has its own climax. It's kind of its own story.
Yeah.
Which makes the very ending feel very flat.
A little bit, because it's just the ending of that particular story.
And in a way, the flat ending for this kind of works. And this, I know, like, from a writing standpoint, like, a lot of people are like, oh, that was disappointing. But no, that it was a mundane ending for a mundane sort of outcome, especially because the two lead people are basically going on their first date.
Yeah.
It's a mundane thing.
Yeah.
It's
like
how it's
during
supposed
the day,
to end.
It's like the first scene in the whole movie. Like, only scene in the whole movie that's taking place during the day.
Yeah.
And it's, like, totally normal. There's, like, nothing weird going on.
Yeah, the magic only happens at night. I actually thought that might be what you're saying, like, you didn't like about it. Is that what you were kind of talking about?
What are you referring to?
How it kind of, like, had multiple endings, but, like, the ending didn't really, like...
Yeah, because I just felt like... Since there was a little arc to each part, it just felt like, okay, so this is gonna end, and then what's gonna happen next? So it didn't feel like there were stakes like throughout the movie. It felt like, okay, so this arc has a stake, and then the next arc will have a different, so it just didn't
Like
feel...
this fourth one was more of an internal sort of
Yeah.
See, I kind of agree with both of you. I'm leaning a little bit more towards
But it
Chibi,
felt
though.
predictable, like I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah,
in the
a little
end.
bit. We know
Like,
there's
okay, they're going to get together,
Like, at no point
whatever.
is there, like, a really dark moment, so it's like, yeah, everything's going to end happily for everyone. But it kind of, like, I think, like, thematically in the way that it all felt, sort of, since it's not a traditional narrative, it kind of worked for me because, like, I've gone out drinking, and I've had those drunken nights. I never got really crazy, but it certainly never got this crazy. But that's always how it ends. It kind of always ends in just a mundane... There's never, like, a big climax and everyone falls asleep. No, it's like, a big climax happened, everyone has a great time, blah, blah, blah. But then there's always, like, the winding down moment, and you're like, okay, when should I go home? Is the buses still running? Should I just sleep here? And it gets kind of mundane and boring, and it's kind of like, that's the end of the drunken night.
mental breakdown.
Like Senpai did.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
We saw his whole thought process, and again, it goes into some very, like, surreal art style, and, like,
I
we're
thought that
showing-
was pretty good.
That was interesting, like,
his
the
stuff
representation
was
of...
interesting at the end.
And I've certainly felt that way, because, like and I know some people don't always like where I'm like, no, I'll watch a dub, but, like, this and the Madoka Magica movie, watch them in subs, but you get to certain sections where they're doing so much exposition and so much, like, stream of consciousness dialogue, I'm like, I can't follow this by reading it. I really wish I could have heard, like, his, like, little inner thought process in English, just so I could have, like, comprehended what was going on, because he's like...
It was a lot.
I feel like we've all had that moment where we've all, like, thought way too much about something and, like, started doubting ourselves and doubting the world
Definitely.
around us, and just... he was spiraling.
He was definitely, like, having an anxiety attack leading into a depressive episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
And we're hearing every thought that he has. And it's not the easiest thing to follow if you're watching it with subs, but it's very interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because I guess, like, his shadow selves are, like, his logic and his, like, cowboy people.
His instincts.
Yeah,
his,
what was
his
that?
instincts,
Yeah. It's just that was the only moment where I really cared about him in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like the rest, he was just like this little stalker
No, I
weirdo.
really agree with that because the rest of the movie, I'm like, oh my god, dude, just
Yes.
calm the fuck down and just try to be normal.
I agree with you, but again, I feel like if he had been normal the whole time, we never would have got that scene for him.
That's true.
I don't know. I liked him during the scene where he was trying to eat the
Yeah.
really spicy food.
I was like, that takes determination
Yeah, I
to
feel
get
like we
that book.
Should we talk a little bit about that? Because we kind of went into the drinking saga. Should we talk about what the second arc was with the book fair?
With the book fair.
market?
Basically, the main character, she wants to get a book that she had as a kid. Like,
Yes, and going with the drunken night thing, it's like she just had this random thought of like, hey, that picture book from a while ago, I should go find that.
Which
That's
is
definitely
like-
a random drunken thought.
And
Yeah.
that book is basically her whole mantra for her life. It's just like she is a moving train, just moving fast and just keep
Is
going.
that why she was doing the chugga
Yeah,
chugga
the
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ratatam. That's
okay.
that's her. That's the thing. That's the white train in the
Okay.
book.
Ah.
All right. What were you saying? You were explaining it pretty well.
Well, then so she goes to this book fair as it's like her copy that she had that she must have given away or her parents must have given
Yeah,
away.
very rare circumstance. But
And
yeah.
then Senpai, he wants to find the book so that way if he gives it to her, it'll be like a good gesture to her. And it's like, take me, Senpai, or something like that. And then
Notice me.
But then
Notice me, Kohai?
But then
You don't
things
get
get
that
really
often.
weird when the book is under a sleazy owner.
We should bring up that there's like a thing where there's like a bunch of people are like buying up all the rare books
Oh, yeah.
and like keeping them out of circulation with everyone else.
Yeah.
He was like a
Like a
god
black
of
market.
the
Yeah, it's sort of a
book
black market of
market.
It was
books
the
and like
same dude from the first arc with the mustache. The
everyone's a
robot.
little bit like
Yeah.
anyone who's in this movie is in there a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone is kind of interconnected, which goes with the theme, and I think that was like really interesting and that was well
Yeah,
done.
I liked that part of it.
And it's always kind of like, okay, when's this person going to show up? And you're always kind of interested to see when they do.
He just runs the town, man. And
So
Yeah.
so Senpai enters a contest to win the book by literally eating the spiciest food you can imagine, while the main
Yeah.
character, she literally gets involved with the god of the used
god
book
of used bookstore. Yeah. Who's like, his whole thing is like, we're going to take the price tags off and make everything affordable for everyone because it needs to be circulated. And he's actually the one who gives us a speech about the connectedness of all the books and like authors and all that sort of stuff, and it's explained very well. And like it's interesting. It's like, what else? The girl helps destroy the black market tent, and all the books are now affordable for everyone. And communism, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. It is nice to have everything circulating again, so everyone can enjoy it, though. So.
Yeah.
He was really mean to the teacher guy.
The senpai?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. He kept like giving him an ice cream boner. I'm not like making like a weird euphemism. He like literally has an ice cream cone and he just like smacks onto his crotch and it's just sticking there.
Yeah.
So.
That was an actual thing.
Yeah.
Moving on from there.
The next one was probably the most interesting.
It was a musical, apparently.
Yeah, the musical.
Oh, it's
There's
funny.
a school fair festival
For
that is
college.
and this one really went out there, despite the fact that we already went through like, oh, okay, there's a roaming train throughout the place with a drinking man, and there's a book god, and
That's
black
the least
market
where
sales.
there's that
Yeah,
same circumstance.
I love the guerrilla theater arc.
The Guerrilla Theater arc was honestly probably my favorite.
Because
to be honest.
After Senpai's been going through how much stuff he's been going through, he gets pulled in by his friend, who is apparently running Big Brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
From 1984.
Oh, I
He's
love
like
him.
got cameras and information on everyone.
He's great.
Yeah, and there is his whole thing is like, I'm the director of the festival. I have to make sure everything goes well. I'm like, you are taking
And
like
the
even
thing
do
is,
they?
he's very against the musical.
Yeah.
Because they are.
Well, they're not sanctioned.
No, they're not sanctioned, and they're also spouting propaganda against him.
That's
That's why
true.
he doesn't like
Yeah.
them.
That's
They're
true.
making fun of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he labels them a terrorist organization,
Pretty funny.
and like I do like that he brings up like, is this legal? This is all illegal, isn't it? He's like, yeah, it could be illegal, but don't you want to know about the girl you like? I'm like, that doesn't change the fact that all of this is a huge, breach of privacy.
Yeah.
But he goes for it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, the power of boners will prevail, I guess.
But I guess, can I talk about the...
Go for
Yeah,
it.
go.
Okay.
Do.
We're just
So,
riffing.
I guess like the whole point of like these musical like pop-up theaters is that...
Yeah, we'll explain how they work, because it's kind of...
Okay, so
I
there's...
wish I could see this in real life, that people doing this.
There's like it starts out with the friends that the black-haired girl, our protagonist, makes
Yeah,
at the
none of these
beginning.
people actually have names for the most part.
Yeah,
We should point that out.
It's like
so
They do.
we're not being vague. We don't know what their real names are. Senpai is senpai.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the protagonist girl, she makes friends with these like randos, and
Yeah, two drinking buddies in the first arc, and
Yeah.
they show up randomly throughout the rest.
and so they're like sitting at this kotatsu like during I guess the book festival and then during the school festival part.
Yeah.
And then wherever their kotatsu, like it's called the running kotatsu, and they
Yeah,
like
because they're also not allowed to be there
Yeah,
either, and they're
they're
getting
not
chased by
the
campus security,
yeah,
I guess.
the like committee or whatever.
Wow.
But like
and-
randomly, these people show up almost,
And this Dawn Underwear guy who is like
no,
there.
don't get there. You're gonna. There's a giant tower that
Yeah.
gets erected.
Oh yeah. Well, they
This
leave.
is gonna sound so.
they
This is all
leave-
sounding so disjointed.
They leave a Dharma.
It's perfect for the movie.
They leave a Dharma doll there, and that tells you the next location of where this like play is going to be set up, and they start like building like this.
There is a
platform.
random group of
Playwrights and
playwright.
performers and
Most
actors.
I'm mostly
Yeah.
talking about like the backstage technicians.
Oh yeah.
Right, yeah.
Who are just randomly running around to these places, it seems
Setting
like.
it up.
Setting up a big ass tower
Yeah.
for people to do a musical number on.
Yeah.
And then they tear it all down before the cops show up, and then they run to another location.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how
Can
do
we
you
have
have this
this- can we
stamina
have-
or anything?
Could we have had this at our campus?
Oh, that would have been amazing. We don't have enough
theater.
room on our
Yeah.
campus. That's the
I know.
problem.
You know, in all honesty,
but
I
I
just
would've
realized
loved
this.
to
They
see
kind of remind me of Pikmin. I don't know why. Just the way they just.
that they're all just coordinated.
Yeah.
They got like a hive mind going. They're just like heave ho, and then just erected, sing and dance, and it's down. And like every time the thing pops up, it's like
a different
it's a
song.
continuing continuing musical that I guess whoever's writing it is writing it as they're going.
What was
Yeah.
working?
So-
She's
I was like-
literally
Yeah.
writing it as she's running with the main
Oh, yeah.
character.
Yeah. And so I guess like there's this Dharma like queen or whatever, and she's looking for her like. What was it?
Obstinate king or
king.
something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of
Obstinate king.
it's weird to explain through the musical, but what's the main thing that's actually going on?
So I guess like this Dawn Underwear guy, he met.
We should point out that's not his real name. It's a nickname because he hasn't changed his underwear in a year.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
So he like I guess was sitting on campus or whatever.
I think it was like last year's festival.
Yeah, last year's like festival, and he was sitting across from this girl, and then it started raining apples.
What was the explanation for that? There was like
They were
two different
pushing like a carton of
Yeah.
apples, and they
on
tripped.
two different sides of the thing.
Yeah,
And this
and-
coincidence, they all
Window.
fell off, and it rained apples on two
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a huge fate thing going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds nice, but when you actually think about how many apples probably would have hit them,
Yeah,
it doesn't
like-
sound fun anymore.
Apples.
They made it look like it was just one on each head.
Yeah,
and,
they both got hit in the head with an apple, and they're like, and he was like, "Oh, this is a fated meeting," but the girl walks off, and
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And so he's like determined to find her, and that's why he hasn't changed his underwear because he doesn't want to change it until he like finds her again.
Yeah, he wants to find Apple Girl. Apple Girl would not want. I don't care who Apple Girl is. You don't want someone who's like been wearing the same underwear for like a year.
Yeah.
You
Skeevy.
probably have like a giant raging festering dick by the end of this.
I can use the word festering.
Because that's what it would be. That's exactly what it would
Pretty
be.
disgusting.
There is no way you are getting out of that without some sort of infection.
But the twist at the finale is
The
what
twist?
makes
Oh yeah, no. So like they're
Twist.
running around, they're doing all this stuff, and apparently they are catching people who are doing this because
Yeah.
they've gone through like 11 main actresses and
They're, like,
eventually,
locked up or
main
something.
character girl. Yeah, how are they able to detain people like that?
I
That's
don't
another thing. I'm like, there are
know.
so many things where I'm in this. I'm like, that's illegal. That's illegal. That's. I don't know all the laws in Japan. I'm just going off of what I know from America. So this is probably
You just
there's.
can't randomly incarcerate someone.
I don't feel like you should be able to do that.
Oh, I mean, it was the committee
But-
dude anyway, so it was like
They should have less authority to do that.
Speaking
Who
of
the heck?
which,
You're basically
Moving on.
So the student council is arresting people.
Oh.
That doesn't seem allowed.
And so it turns out like the last, like the fourth, which is like the fourth pop-up theater or whatever. This like
Oh no, it
Dawn-
wasn't the fourth. Did you see the map they had? They had a map of every. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
like 38
Well, I
different
guess-
performances.
I guess it
Like
was
the
like
last
the
act.
last.
They did like
the
a
last
full,
act.
a full 4-hour musical between running to different locations.
Yeah, it was-
it's wildly impressive.
Well, the very last one, it was like the Dawn Underwear guy was like the king, and he was
Yeah.
like basically gave a speech like, "My Apple Girl, this is for you."
Yeah, he sings it all. It's kind of like when Charlie did that thing at the end of the
Yes!
Sunny musical.
It was basically that.
Yeah.
Like, this is for
It
you,
worked out better
waitress.
for him
Yeah.
than Charlie.
And
honestly.
I totally knew this was gonna happen because, like, okay, at the beginning of the movie, gonna jump back here a little bit when they
Yes, we're gonna jump around a lot.
when they introduced the school like committee person, like the
Yeah.
chairman dude who we've been talking about, like who's running this illegal shtick or whatever.
Yeah, and he is
they-
like, he's just
they-
being Big Brother.
Yeah, they're introducing this guy as like someone who everyone loves in the school, this really popular dude who also cross-dresses and like has an idol persona.
Yeah.
And then they reveal
Do you know where this is going yet?
that the
Once
that
he said
the
that, I was like, that's the twist.
that
They're
that
gonna do that.
the Apple Girl was his idol persona, and I totally knew it because at the end,
Oh,
like
yeah.
they showed him at the beginning his idol persona with a baton,
Right.
and I was like, okay, as someone who is a majorette, I can get behind that. And then later when they showed Apple Girl leaving, she had a baton, and her
Yeah.
outfit was kind of like a little out there, and I thought to myself, oh my god, is this the student council
I didn't make
dude?
that connection initially.
I
didn't
totally,
I just
about
thought it was like a
either.
random weird fact about him.
I
But nothing in this
totally-
movie is actually random.
I
So
But
totally made the
But what's even
connection.
crazier is that initially Don Underwear's okay with it. It's like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah,
It's
he was like, "You're a dude, but this is fate," and my heart felt something.
and they're both going in
Yeah.
for the kiss, but I love in that like moment. There's kind of like this freeze frame of like their inner thoughts, and
I need an
Don Underwood's like,
excuse.
"Please just give me an excuse not to do this." And like they're like both clearly in this state of like, okay, we're on stage, we're singing. Somehow they're impromptu singing all of this
Yeah.
because this could not have been pre-written because so many things
And
went wrong with the
Senpai
final
jumped
performance.
in
Yeah.
Yeah, he
and
did.
did the same.
We're not even mentioning
singing.
him. He's been
Yeah.
chasing them the whole time too.
Right.
And he got in because he wanted to have the final kiss with
character.
protagonist girl. But then
And
like
he
they got
sang
derailed
his
by
own song.
yeah, he sang
Somehow.
a song out of nowhere. She's singing a song out of nowhere. They apparently they go to a musical college because everyone is just able to do this on the fly. And
High
then,
School Musical.
and then, what happens? There's the main
Dawn
technician.
Underwear.
The main technician, though, turns out, I'm like, this is like Les Mis, because like she's Epony or whatever.
Oh no, the
'cause she's
playwright. The
yeah.
playwright.
No, she was like the assistant. Dawn Underwear's the playwright.
Yeah, the red hair chick.
But she's like writing the next couple things as they're going.
Okay, so he's writing the songs and she's writing the scene.
She was writing the songs.
Yeah, those were her songs.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, the songwriter element of it is like, I'm in love with you, Dawn Underwear, and he's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna be in love with this guy, and he's like, please, someone. He's like, he already. I feel like it's just that moment of like, I'm on stage, I'm in front of everyone, I've already committed to this. Something needs to happen to get me to stop because this is just how it's gonna be.
And boy, does something happen.
Yeah, this was also brought up early on. There was like another guy who's like really into porn or
Yeah.
something who shows up a lot.
Yeah.
Apparently he has a koi fish farm and they all got sucked up by a tornado. Bear with me.
Which the tornado was.
The tornado comes back 3 weeks later at this exact moment when these two dudes are about to kiss and drops carp on everyone.
The tornado is somehow connected to the guy on the train because
Yeah,
he's so
the guy on the
sick.
train's magical or something.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was so sick, like his sickness produces
He has a
tornado
cold.
or something.
He has a cold and it created a tornado and sucked up a bunch of koi fish,
Well,
dropped a bunch of koi fish.
The pervy guy's fish literally
Yeah.
knocks both of them on the head.
It knocks Dawn
And it's
Underwear
a
and the
moment of
playwright,
fate.
and it's like, oh, I guess koi fish are better than apples. So bye-bye, student council president. I'm gonna be with the person who's actually in love with me. I'm like, okay, I guess that was the only way that was gonna end. I'm like,
Guess
for half a
so.
moment, I was like, okay, are they really? They're gonna commit to that. They're really going with the some like it hot ending.
Well,
Like, do you remember that? They're like trying to give excuses
Nobody's
like.
perfect.
Like, I can't be with you because we're not the same religion. Oh, I'll convert. I can't be with you because this. I can't have children. We'll adopt. I can't be with you because I'm a man. Well, nobody's perfect. I almost wish they kind of would have went with that. Of like, if you're gonna go strange with it, and not that like the koi fish thing is gonna be like out. It wasn't out there, but like, yeah, why not go with the original
It
one?
was supposed to be all about how tying fate into the story was supposed to, because fate and connection is also a theme.
I guess that's true. Like, and I kind of
Because
goes.
it's fate, it's coincidence
It's
that the main
chance.
character
Yeah.
and the main characters, the girl and the guy, are constantly
Yeah,
running into
we-
each other. Except
We
he's
should
always
mention that.
trying to show up where she is, and she's like, "Oh, hey, it's what a coincidence." He's like, "Oh, it's my chance."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
He's like
that's
manipulating
the
fate.
Yeah.
That's Senpai's plan to get her to like him. Is that I'll just show up literally everywhere that you are, and you just pretend it's coincidence, and eventually you'll think, oh, it's fate, and we'll be together.
He's a stalker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
stalking.
no, this
They don't even
this
talk
should
to
be
each
said.
other
He
at all.
is
I
literally
mean,
a
they
stalker.
do a little
for
bit. They were apparently like in the
three-
same
3/4 of the movie.
club in school or something, and they clearly interact like, hey, how you doing? But again, it's still under the pretense of like he's stalking you. And, you know, I guess he's not as dangerous as some other stalkers I've seen in anime, but still, it's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, he takes initiative eventually, I guess, as opposed to just trying to, I don't know. That plan was never going to work.
Well, and then our fourth and final arc is all about the cold tornado.
Yeah, everyone got sick during this whole exchange because, like, Magic Train Man was sick. Someone drank from his glass, then she got a bunch of people sick. Then those people got a bunch of people sick. We are kind of slowly seeing this epidemic spread throughout the rest of the other vignettes a little bit.
Yeah. And it's about protagonist girl basically going around.
The only
and,
one who's not sick.
Yeah.
She's been around every sick person and never got sick.
And she's bringing them all like this special egg sake. And it's like.
It starts as that.
Yeah.
But
and-
like,
Coke and ginger.
yeah,
Coke and
she
ginger and
goes and
things
gets
and-
something for one person, and they're like, "Hey, you should go see this person because I think they're also sick. Take them this because this will help them." And then she goes and sees them, and they're like, "Oh, you should go see this person. Take this to them," and blah blah. And it's like, it actually kind of reminded me of an episode of Ed, Ed and Eddie where they're like. Trying they had to get something from someone, but then they had to take something from someone else and something from someone else. And like, it kept going like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't
It's like
quite
French
as selfish,
press.
but yeah. And like so that was kind of interesting. And meanwhile, this is where Senpai's having his huge breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About how
We already kind of went into that a little bit, didn't we?
He's basically saying that he is such a horrible and disgusting person.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically what his whole breakdown is because of what he's doing. Like, with
Yeah, he kind of realized,
he's
I'm
a
a stalker, I'm a
yeah.
weirdo, I'm a pervert.
Which was when I was like, okay, I like you more because of all your doubts. And, like, he even started, like, wondering things like, why her? Why am I, like, so obsessed
yeah, like,
with
why
her?
is he so obsessed with this one girl who he barely knows?
Yeah.
I feel like we've all kind of felt that way a little bit, because I feel like
yes.
we've all had, like, that one crush who we kind of, like, didn't really know, but we kind of just looked at them and were like, oh, I would love to,
Why all
whatever.
of my relationships end badly.
Yeah. But I guess it worked out in the end for them. We don't actually know. We never got to see what their actual
Maybe their
date.
date sucked.
It could have been terrible. He was like, "Why?"
You're bye.
Yeah, but it was that pop-up book that he got for eating all of that really hot food that actually was like what got them to go on their first date.
Do you want to go on a date? Like, I hope it didn't end bad for them, but I'm kind of like reminded of like, did anyone watch Hey Arnold?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had like that crush on that one girl for a long time. Then he actually got to go out with her, and she's just awful.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, okay, yeah, no, bye.
I
I'm
remember
like,
that.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think either of them was like a bad character
No.
at all. But
Like, they were both kind of flawed.
yeah, but in
Definitely,
decent,
her
in
her
relatable
flaws
and understandable
are-
She
ways.
was like a superhuman. She was like perfect the
Yeah.
entire movie.
She was
She
like,
was
I
a
don't
little
know if-
boring.
She's a
was
little
a little cute.
boring,
That was,
but
like,
at the same
about
thing,
it.
it's just kind of like, I feel like her flaws are a little more subtle.
Yeah, her like thing. She's like, I guess, I don't know how you describe like very type A personality, I guess, where she's like constantly going and trying to do stuff and like get the most out of life, which is kind of a good thing. But at like the same time, everyone else kind of falls at the wayside for a little bit. I don't think she's like intentionally trying to be
No.
like selfish or be like, and she's not a selfish person.
no.
Clearly, like the final arc kind of shows that. But at the same time, it's like,
She wants to do everything, and she
Yeah.
wants to, like, discover all the pleasures of adult life.
yeah, she wants to do everything, but she doesn't kind of think like, well, where's everyone else whenever I'm doing my things a little bit.
It's just kind of
Which-
like everyone's just
you don't
always around.
Always have to be concerned about that in everything, but sometimes it's good to like kind of like take a step back and kind of look like, see who's around me. Is
Yeah.
everyone else having a good time? And, you know, see where that's going. For the most part, I feel like most of the people around her are having a good time, except for Senpai, who is just
Yeah.
constantly getting the
The short end of the stick and the
Although
ice cream in the dick.
Although I think at the beginning of the movie,
Nice
That was a good one.
I think at the beginning of the movie though, she was kind of drinking by herself and wondering about life, and ironically,
A touch,
the
yeah.
pervy guy
Oh,
told
yeah.
her to just let loose. and
Which
Yeah.
they try to teach you a lesson about punching, which is completely incorrect.
No.
Do
Never
not.
do
Yeah,
that.
they say there's a friendly punch where I'm gonna stick my thumb in my hand
Never.
to punch you. That's a
Ever.
great way to break your thumb if you hit someone hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't do that. But other than that, yeah, if some guy tries to grope you, punch him in the face.
Yes.
That was a decent lesson, if we needed it. Okay, what else?
Anything else that anyone wants to mention? Because I do have a little bit of a thing
Go
that I
for
want
it.
to say
We'll-
for like an outro kind of thing. Or
Oh, for an
to-
outro.
Oh.
Well, not an outro, but to lead into
Final
the topic
thought
for
type?
next week.
I'll say I just thought it was a really interesting movie. Like, while I think it was more episodic than it was like
Yeah.
movie-ish,
For sure.
that it was definitely like interesting, and it kept my attention because it was
Yeah.
like so different each like
Yeah.
little part of it.
Yeah.
I think that the transitions between scenes was like way too jarring, and I feel like it didn't really give you any time to breathe between. It was like, oh, we're here at this book fair, we're doing all this stuff. Oh, now we're doing musicals. Like, it was like instantaneous, and I was like, wait, hold on. What's this guy's name again?
They don't have names most of the time. I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, that is kind of what a drunken night is. You just go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and then suddenly it's over, and you're like, okay, well, do I go home now?
It's just hard to get attached to characters when you kind of only see them for a little bit at a time.
That's kind of true, but I think we're only supposed to attach to two of them, really, for the
Yeah.
most part.
We're only really supposed to attach to the main girl in Senpai.
Yeah.
Go
The
high
main
in
girl
Senpai.
is kind of flat.
A
So-
little.
I did
but-
not feel super. I'm kind of with you. I didn't feel super attached to either of them. And like I said, I only kind of liked Senpai at the end. and because I kind of related to him more towards the end with his freak out, but like the rest, they were both pretty like one-note characters. Like he was just obsessed with her, and she was just like, oh, I'm floating around having a good time.
Like the drinking buddies she had, those were like my favorite characters.
They were interesting, but we don't really know anything about them.
Literally everyone else.
Yeah, the side characters were really like fun to watch, even if they were one-note too.
I think that's just what this kind of story is. It's like, it's not necessarily Forrest Gump, but like Forrest Gump's not the most interesting character in Forrest Gump.
It's literally about the people in your life.
Yeah. So
because you can kind of like put yourself in that role, I guess. It's kind of like,
I think that's kind of part of it. Yeah, because like you said, this was based on a book.
I believe it was a novel of the same name. Yeah.
Okay, so like that could be kind of like just like insert reader.
I don't like that
sort of.
Though.
It doesn't
like,
always
I don't
make for
like
great
self-insert character.
for a movie, I feel like that only really works in like video games. I mean,
yeah, but that's the
like,
whole point because you're the character, you play the character. But yeah, that's I feel like that's something that like a lot of anime series as well also have. I don't really see that problem with
that
movies,
either though.
Yeah.
But yeah. It had I had like a couple like moments of it, especially like with Senpai. He has very much this. Did you guys ever like see Baby's Day Out or like Animaniacs? Remember the dog chasing the little girl? Buttons and Mindy.
Yes, Buttons.
Yeah, Senpai is Buttons, and he's constantly getting just hurt and wrecked and having his pants stolen.
Yep.
It's like Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
A little bit. But they each kind of get hit a little bit. Like, it's very, like, Buttons and Minnie is very much, it's a baby walking around a construction site.
Coyote and Roadrunner.
A little bit more like that, I think.
Yeah.
Although
I
don't
like
think
when
the
they
Coyote wants to bang the Roadrunner.
Oh no! You just said how the internet is going to draw it.
Oh, they already have drawn it.
Yeah, they've been around for like 70 years. Someone had to have thought of that by now.
My brain hurts.
No, go away. You're not invited anymore.
Anything else?
The animation was definitely beautiful. That
Yeah.
was probably the
It was
That was the
not
best
an
part.
art style you usually see for movies, I don't think.
I've seen it more commonly, although it is the art style of the next anime we're going to be talking about. Like, wasn't it the same studio that made Devilman Crybaby?
I guess so.
So
You seem to have a way into that. Go into that.
well, that was it. Like that.
Yep. Next week we're starting the first 3 episodes of Devilman Crybaby. We're gonna go through that series, watch another movie, go to another series, watch another movie, go to another series. Like we'll see. Who knows? We don't know if we might cancel this series at some point, but you know, not tomorrow and not next week. Gav, do we have something else to tell them?
This is about the
Yeah.
It might be about the AMA
All right.
in May.
We're doing an AMA Q&A type thing. We created a telonym at TheOutbackAl and Friends.
Link in the description below.
Yeah, so you can go there and ask us a question or like say a comment, confess your undying love for us. And we may or may not respond. Probably will respond though to
I don't know that we're gonna get that many, so we'll probably be like, yeah, we'll just.
to your stuff.
I mean, have you checked it at all? Of, like,
Yeah, we got
you had
like
any
about
entry?
1 per day, so
That's not bad.
yeah.
it's more than I get.
Yeah, me too. So
We'll see how many we have at the end. Maybe we'll actually have a. Yeah, that'll be early May, and yeah, Devilman Crybaby next week. All right, thank you for listening to this. I know there's not going to be much in the way of actual visuals with this, so yeah. Watch this movie; it's good.
Yeah. I would say yay.
Get drunk
Yay.
beforehand. The full experience.
If you can follow it like that, would you read all that if you were drunk? It's pretty rapid fire.
Yeah, I had a hard time reading it when I was sober.
Yeah. Alrighty. Alrighty, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
bye.